Hello, and welcome back to the Easy English Podcast. I'm Hannah, and as always, I'm joined by my wonderful co-host, Alex. How are you today, Alex?
Hey there, Hannah, and a huge welcome to all our listeners around the world. I'm doing great, thank you. I'm really excited about today's episode because we are going to tell a story. It's a slow, beginner-friendly story about a big adventure, a little mistake, and a very kind stranger.
That sounds perfect. Stories are one of the best ways to learn English. You can hear new words in a real situation, and it helps you remember them much better. Today, we are focusing on some very common English words for cars, travel, and gas stations.
Exactly. So before we start the story, let's look at a few key vocabulary words. Hannah, what is the first word our listeners should know?
The first word is road trip. A road trip is a long journey that you take in a car. Instead of flying on an airplane, you drive through different cities or countryside. For example, last summer, my family went on a road trip across the country. Do you like road trips, Alex?
Oh, I love them. You can stop whenever you want, look at the beautiful views, and eat snacks. Speaking of stopping, that brings us to our next word, gas station. In some countries, people call this a petrol station or a service station. It is the place where you buy fuel or petrol for your car. You can also buy food, drinks, and use the restroom there.
That's right. And at the gas station, you might need to open the trunk. In British English, this is called the boot. The trunk is the large compartment at the back of the car where you put your bags, suitcases, or groceries. For example, please put your luggage in the trunk so we have more space in the seats.
Excellent word. And the last key word for now is keys. Of course, we use keys to start the car and lock the doors. But sometimes, keys can cause a big problem, as we will hear in our story today.
Oh, yes, a very big problem. Let's meet the main character of our story. Her name is Sarah. Sarah is 25 years old and she loves traveling. Today is a very special day for her because she is starting a long-awaited road trip. She is driving to a beautiful national park that is 5 hours away.
5 hours is a long drive. That requires a lot of energy and, of course, a full tank of gas. At the beginning of our story, Sarah is feeling very happy. She has her favorite music playing on the car radio, the sun is shining, and the windows are rolled down. She can feel the warm summer breeze on her face.
She feels so free. But after driving for 2 hours, Sarah looks at her dashboard. The dashboard is the panel in front of the driver that shows the speed, the time, and how much fuel is left. Sarah sees that her fuel gauge is very low. The little light is blinking. This means she needs to find a gas station immediately.
Yes, you definitely don't want to run out of gas in the middle of nowhere. Luckily, Sarah sees a big sign on the highway. It says, "Gas and food, next exit." She takes the exit and drives into a very busy gas station. There are cars everywhere, families stretching their legs, and people buying snacks.
Sarah parks her car next to a gas pump. A gas pump is the machine that pumps the fuel into the car. She gets out of her car, stretches her arms, and takes a deep breath. She is a bit tired from driving, but she is still in a great mood. She decides to buy a bottle of water and some chips from the station shop. But first, she needs to fill up her car.
While the gas is pumping, Sarah remembers that she has a cooler bag in the trunk of her car. She wants to grab an apple from the cooler bag. So she walks to the back of her car, puts her car keys on the flat edge inside the trunk, and opens her big cooler bag to find the apple.
Oh no, Alex, I have a bad feeling about this. Putting the keys inside the trunk is always a dangerous idea.
It really is, Hannah. But Sarah isn't thinking about the keys. She is hungry and focused on finding her green apple. She finds the apple, takes a big bite, and then she reaches for the heavy trunk lid and slams it shut. Clack. The trunk is closed and locked.
Oh my goodness! That loud sound, that clack, is the worst sound in the world when you realize your keys are still inside. My heart actually jumped a little bit just hearing you say that, Alex. The keys are sitting right next to the empty cooler, completely locked inside the trunk.
Exactly. And to make things worse, this is a modern car. Modern cars have automatic locks. Once that trunk lid slams down, it locks itself immediately. Sarah stands there with her apple in her hand, and her jaw drops. She looks at the trunk, then she looks at her hands. No keys. She feels a cold sweat run down her back.
Before we keep going, I just want to say that if you are enjoying this story, taking a second to like this video or subscribe really helps our channel reach more English learners around the world.
Yes, and please leave any questions in the comments because we read and answer them all. Anyway, back to our locked out driver.
This is a classic disaster moment. Let's talk about some great English phrases we use when things go totally wrong and we start to feel stressed. When Sarah realizes her keys are locked inside, she might say, "I'm in a jam," or "I'm in a pickle." Have you heard those phrases before, Alex?
Oh, yes. I'm in a jam is a very common way to say I am in a difficult situation. It means you are stuck and you don't know what to do. For example, if you miss your train and you have no money for a taxi, you can say, "Oh no, I'm in a real jam now." It is a very natural phrase to use.
And "in a pickle" means the exact same thing. It sounds a little funny because a pickle is a sour vegetable, but if you are in a pickle, you are facing a tough problem. Sarah is definitely in a pickle. She is far from home. Her car is at a busy gas pump. Her phone is probably inside the car, and her keys are in the trunk.
That is the absolute worst part. Her phone is on the front seat of the car, so she cannot even call her family or a tow truck for help. She is completely stranded. To be stranded means to be left helpless in a place without any way to leave. You are stuck.
Yes, stranded is a powerful word. You can be stranded at an airport if your flight is canceled, or stranded on a road if your car breaks down. Let's practice pronouncing that word, stranded. It starts with a strong str sound, stranded. Sarah is stranded at a busy gas station in the middle of her road trip.
So what does she do? First, she tries the car door handles. She goes to the driver's door and pulls it. Locked. She goes to the passenger door. Locked. She even tries the back doors, hoping that maybe, just maybe, she forgot to lock one of them. But no, every single door is tightly locked.
She starts to panic. To panic means to suddenly feel so worried or frightened that you cannot think clearly. When people panic, they sometimes do silly things. Sarah actually starts shaking the car door handles, even though she knows they are locked. She is thinking, "This can't be happening."
We also use the phrase to lose your cool when this happens. Sarah is trying not to lose her cool. To lose your cool means to lose your self-control or to become very angry and upset. If you keep your cool, you stay calm. But Sarah is really struggling to keep her cool right now.
I would lose my cool immediately. I would probably sit on the pavement and cry. But Sarah takes a deep breath. She tells herself, "Okay, getting angry will not unlock this car. I need a plan." This is a very good attitude to have in a disaster, isn't it?
It really is. But the situation is getting tense. Remember, she is parked right next to a gas pump. Other drivers are waiting to use the pump. A man in a blue SUV pulls up behind her car and honks his horn. He wants her to move her car so he can get gas.
Oh no, that adds so much pressure. When someone honks their horn at you, it makes you feel so rushed and stressed. A horn is the noisy device in the center of the steering wheel that makes a loud beep sound. The man is honking because he thinks Sarah is just wasting time.
Right.
He doesn't know she is stranded. So Sarah walks over to his window. Her hands are shaking a little bit. She looks at the driver and says, "I am so sorry, but I'm having a bit of an emergency. I've locked my keys in the trunk." This is a great, polite way to explain a problem quickly.
Yes, I'm having an emergency or I'm in trouble are perfect phrases. Let's look at the phrase to lock your keys in. We use this specific structure in English. We say, I locked my keys in the car, or she locked her keys in the trunk. It means the keys are inside, the doors are locked, and you are on the outside.
The man in the blue SUV looks at her frustrated face and his expression changes. He goes from being annoyed to being sympathetic. He says, that is a nightmare. Don't worry about the car behind you, but do you have a spare key?
A spare key. That is an extra key that you keep in a safe place, just in case you lose the main one. Many people keep a spare key in their wallet or at their house. But of course, Sarah's spare key is at her apartment, which is 2 hours away.
Yes, so the spare key is not going to help her today. She tells the man, "No, my spare key is at home and my phone is locked inside the car too." The man shakes his head and says, "You really are in a tight spot, aren't you?"
A tight spot is another wonderful idiom. It means the same as in a jam or in a pickle. It means you are in a very difficult situation with very few choices. Sarah is definitely in a tight spot. She has no keys, no phone, and she is blocking a busy gas pump.
The man, whose name is Robert, decides to help. He parks his SUV in a proper parking space nearby and walks back to Sarah. He says, "Well, we need to get you some help. I have my phone. Let's see if we can find a local locksmith or a roadside assistance service."
Oh, that is so incredibly kind of Robert. Let's pause and talk about the word locksmith. A locksmith is a professional whose job is to make and repair locks or help people open locks when they have lost their keys. Can you say that word, Alex?
Locksmith. Yes, it combines lock and smith. In English, a smith is someone who makes things out of metal. So a blacksmith works with iron, and a locksmith works with locks. And Robert also mentioned roadside assistance. That is a service that helps drivers when their car breaks down, has a flat tire, or when they lock their keys inside. It is a real lifesaver.
It really is. Sarah feels a huge wave of relief. She says to Robert, "Thank you so much. I really appreciate your help. I was starting to panic." This is a great phrase to learn, listeners. I really appreciate your help. It is a very polite and warm way to show gratitude.
It is much stronger than just saying thanks. It shows that you understand the value of what the other person is doing for you. So Robert takes out his smartphone and starts searching online. He says, "Let's see, we are in a small town, but there is a local garage just 2 miles down the road. Let me give them a call."
That is wonderful. While Robert is dialing the number, Sarah stands there, still feeling a bit embarrassed but also very lucky. She looks at the other cars at the gas station. It is still very busy, and she is glad Robert moved his car so other people can use the pump.
Exactly. Robert puts the phone to his ear. He waits for a moment. Then he says, "Hello? Yes, I have a young lady here at the gas station who has locked her keys in her trunk. Is there a mechanic or a technician who can come and help her open?"
Oh, I hope they say yes. What does the person on the other end of the line say, Alex?
Well, Robert listens for a moment, nods his head, and says, "I see. Okay, thank you anyway." Then he hangs up the phone and looks at Sarah with a small, sad smile.
Oh no, that doesn't sound good. What happened?
Robert says, "Well, the bad news is that their only technician is currently out on another highway helping a truck. He won't be back for at least 3 hours."
3 hours? That is a very long time to wait at a gas station, especially when you are in the middle of a road trip. Sarah's heart sinks. To sink means to go down. When we say your heart sinks, it means you suddenly feel very disappointed or sad.
Yes, her heart definitely sinks. But Robert is a very practical man. He says, "Don't worry, Sarah. That was just the first place. Let's try another option. Do you belong to an auto club? You know, like a national roadside service?"
Ah, like AAA in the United States, or similar clubs in other countries. Many people pay a small fee every year to be members of these clubs. If their car breaks down, they can call a number and someone comes to help them for free.
Exactly. Sarah thinks for a second and says, "Yes, I am a member of the auto club, but my membership card is in my wallet, and my wallet is inside my glove compartment. The car is locked."
Oh, what a classic problem. Everything she needs to solve the problem is trapped inside the very object that is causing the problem. The glove compartment, by the way, is that small storage drawer in the dashboard of the car, in front of the passenger seat. We use it to keep important papers, maps, and apparently membership cards.
Yes, the glove compartment is a very common place to store things. Robert chuckles. Chuckles means he laughs quietly. He says, "Well, that is a bit of a catch-22, isn't it?"
A catch-22. That is a fantastic English idiom. It means a difficult situation from which you cannot escape because of contradictory rules or conditions. You can't get your card because the car is locked, and you can't unlock the car because you don't have your card. It's a perfect catch-22.
It really is. But Robert says, actually, we might not need the physical card. If we call the customer service number, you can probably just tell them your name, address, and phone number, and they can look up your membership in their database.
Wow, Robert is so smart and helpful. That is a brilliant idea. Of course, companies have computers now, and they can search for your information using your personal details. Sarah feels a glimmer of hope. A glimmer is a very small, weak light. So a glimmer of hope is a tiny bit of hope when things look dark.
Yes, a glimmer of hope is exactly what she needs. Robert searches for the Auto Club's phone number on his phone. He finds it and dials. He hands his phone to Sarah and says, "Here, you should speak to them directly so you can give them your personal information."
This is a big step for Sarah. She has to explain her situation to a stranger on the phone using English while feeling stressed. Let's see how she does. She takes the phone and puts it to her ear. She hears the ringing tone, and then a friendly voice answers. The voice says, "Thank you for calling Roadside Assistance. How can I help you today?" Sarah takes a deep breath to calm herself down. She says, "Hello, I locked my keys in my car trunk, and I need help. But my membership card is inside the locked car."
Perfect. That was so clear and direct. She explained her problem and her immediate difficulty right away. What does the agent say?
The agent is very professional. She says, "Don't worry, ma'am, we can help you with that. Can I please have your full name and your home address?" Sarah slowly and clearly spells out her name, Sarahmiller, and gives her address in Chicago.
Spelling your name is a very important skill when you are speaking English, especially on the phone where connections can be bad. It is always a good idea to practice spelling your name and address clearly.
Yes, absolutely. The agent says, "Thank you, Miss Miller. I see your active membership in our system. You are covered for lockout services. Where are you located right now?"
This is another moment where Sarah has to be very careful. She is at a busy gas station far from her home city of Chicago. She needs to explain exactly where she is. Let's see what she says next.
Exactly. Sarah looks around and sees a sign on the gas station building. She says,
I am at the Highway 80 rest stop at gas station number 4. It is near exit 15, about 20 miles east of the city of Joliet. That is very specific.
Wow, she did a fantastic job. She gave the highway name, the rest stop name, the exit number, and even her distance from the nearest big town. That is incredibly helpful for the driver who is coming to help her.
It really is. The customer service agent on the phone says, "Great, I have your location. I am sending a local service truck to you right now." The driver should arrive in about 30 minutes. His name is Dave, and he drives a yellow truck.
30 minutes? That is not too long to wait. Sarah must feel so relieved. She gives the phone back to the kind stranger, Mr. Lopez. What does she say to him, Alex?
She smiles warmly, looks him in the eye, and says, "Thank you so much, Mr. Lopez. You really saved my day. I appreciate your kindness more than I can say." This is a wonderful English phrase to use. You saved my day, or you saved my life. It means someone helped you out of a very difficult situation.
Yes, you saved my day is a perfect phrase to express deep gratitude when someone helps you. Mr. Lopez probably feels very good about helping her too. What does he reply?
Mr. Lopez smiles and says, "You are very welcome, Sarah. We have all been in trouble on the road at some point. I am just glad I could help. I have to hit the road now, but I hope everything goes well with the service truck." Then he waves goodbye and drives away.
Hit the road. That is another great natural idiom. To hit the road simply means to start a journey or to leave a place. For example, it is getting late. We should hit the road. It is very common in everyday English.
It is. So now, Sarah is waiting next to her car. She watches the busy gas station. People are coming and going, buying snacks, filling up their tanks. She feels much calmer now. She knows help is on the way.
And 30 minutes later, just like the agent promised, a big yellow service truck pulls up right next to her car. A friendly-looking mechanic with a big smile gets out of the truck. This must be Dave.
It is Dave. He says, "Hi, are you Sarah? I'm Dave from Roadside Assistance. I hear you've got some keys locked in your trunk today." Sarah says, "Yes, that is me. Thank you so much for coming so quickly."
So how does Dave open the trunk? This is the big question. Does he have to break the window?
Fortunately, no. Professional roadside workers have special tools. Dave takes out a small, flat blue bag that looks like a balloon. He slips it carefully into the tiny gap between the driver's door and the frame of the car.
Oh, I know those. It is an inflatable airbag. What does he do with it?
He pumps a little bit of air into the bag. As the bag inflates, it gently pushes the door open just a tiny fraction of an inch, just enough for him to slide a long, thin metal rod inside the car.
Oh, that is so clever. He uses the metal rod to reach the unlock button on the driver's door. This is a very safe way to open a locked car without damaging the window or the lock.
Exactly. He gently presses the unlock button with the rod. We hear a loud click sound. The car doors are unlocked. Sarah opens the driver's side door, reaches down, and pulls the trunk release lever.
And with a soft pop sound, the trunk opens. Success! Her keys are sitting right there on top of her blue suitcase, exactly where she left them.
What a happy ending. Sarah grabs her keys, holds them tight, and says to Dave, "Oh my goodness, thank you so much. You make it look so easy." Dave laughs and says, "Well, I do this about 10 times a day. Just glad I could get you back on the road safely."
This is such a wonderful, heartwarming story. Let's break down some of the most important vocabulary and phrases we learned from this happy ending.
Great idea. Let's start with roadside assistance. This is a professional service that helps drivers when their car breaks down, has a flat tire, runs out of gas, or when they lock their keys inside. It is a very useful word to know if you rent a car or drive in an English-speaking country.
Yes, and lockout service. This is the specific service of unlocking a car when the keys are trapped inside. We also heard the phrase, "you are covered." The agent said, "You are covered for lockout services." In this context, covered means your insurance or membership pays for the service. You do not have to pay extra money today.
That is an important one. Another phrase we used was trunk release lever. That is the little handle or button inside the car, usually near the driver's seat, that opens the trunk. And let's not forget the idioms we discussed, like you saved my day and to hit the road.
Those are so natural and common. Now, let's share a few practical tips for our listeners to avoid this kind of stressful situation on their next road trip. What is your first tip, Alex?
My number one tip is to always keep a spare key. If you are traveling with a friend or family member, give them the spare key to keep in their pocket or bag. That way, if you lock your main key in the car, they can open it instantly.
That is a lifesaver. My tip is to never close your trunk until you physically feel your car keys in your hand or your pocket. Do not set them down inside the trunk even for a second to adjust your bags. Keep them attached to your belt or put them in your pocket first.
That is a very good habit to build. And my final tip is to make sure you have the phone number for roadside assistance saved in your mobile phone contacts before you start your trip. Do not just keep it on a card inside the glove box because if you are locked out, you cannot reach that card.
That is incredibly smart. Well, we hope you enjoyed this slow, beginner-friendly story today and that you learned some useful English vocabulary for your future travels. Remember, even if you make a mistake on the road, staying calm and asking for help clearly in English can get you through any situation.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Easy English Podcast. Keep practicing, stay safe on the road, and we will see you next time.